Well, I think I was still in the classroom and I was looking for a model that would be a more student-centered model, a model where I would be able to really connect with my students. I had larger class sizes, and we were just in the beginnings of implementing the LTP model when I got into this role. And so I believe that we were looking for a model that would focus on instructional best practice strategies and not about tools. And that's really what blended learning does, is it allows for that student-centered model and for students to be able to have more control of their pace and place and path of their learning. And so that's why we chose blended learning. Okay, so we took a grassroots approach here in St. Vrain, and that was really by design. We knew that we needed to build some capacity. That was important. We also knew we needed to get some teacher buy-in. And with that teacher buy-in, we could have teachers help recruit other teachers in wanting to see this amazing model in their classroom, and that's really what happened. We had a small group of teachers of 7 teachers in our first collaborative, and they really shared their learning and excitement about the blended model and recruited a larger group of teachers. And every year that's how it's gone. We this year had 120 teachers volunteer to be part of a year-long collaborative. So it's been really exciting to see that excitement. And so through that grassroots approach by design, we've been able to take those teacher leaders at different schools and utilize them for PD and support as other teachers come on board. So those initial excited teachers that were part of the cohort now are part of a 20-team blended building leader team, and they support teachers at each of their schools, and they also support professional development there. One of the really, I think, key pieces in our timing was that we started our 5-year LTP implementation with the iPads. And so it worked out perfectly that teachers were kind of learning about blended and building capacity as we were still in the pilot stages of the LTP implementation. So walking into a blended classroom is just really exciting. Students are actively learning, they're engaged. Teachers really are so excited, and I think one of the biggest pieces about blended learning is that the transformation I'm seeing in teachers. In our blended program, we have most of our teachers, 80% or more, have at least 5 years or more of experience. And so with that experience, I feel like this blended PD has allowed them to be invigorated, and they are excited to be able to transform their classroom, have students be more autonomous learners, all of the things that teachers really love. They get to have that be part of in the blended model. So I know for my classroom, with a science classroom of 32 or more students, I was able to talk to every single one of my students every day, work in small groups, and that was transformative for me as a teacher, and I was in my 12th year of teaching. So blended learning has really allowed us to work on closing the achievement gap. Differentiation is so possible with being able to use technology for formative assessment and assess students to really know where they're at with the standards, and then be able to differentiate instruction, do station rotation model to really be able to pull students in small groups and work with them on one-on-one, and support students that need to be moved forward in the standards, and support students who need that differentiation. I believe modeling what you're teaching is a key component of professional development. And so our model, we have actually 2 options for teachers to learn about blended. They both are year-long cohorts, and they both contain a component of collaboration, which I think really is key when implementing blended, because we're asking teachers to step outside of their comfort zone. And when you're asking teachers to do that, they have to be able to have people to support them in that process and to be able to problem solve with them. So in our two options, we have a collaborative option called the Blended Collaborative that is year-long, and it's got more face-to-face components. So we meet monthly starting in the summer, and every session there's an online component and a face-to-face component. So they kind of learn about the blended model instructional tool that we're using, or a strategy that we're using. We come to class and we create lessons together, and then they go home, they go back to class and implement them, and then we can come back and reflect. That model has really worked in making sure that teachers are understanding, getting support, and trying out the things that we're teaching them in class. The other model is an online model, and that's where we partnered with the iLearn Collaborative, and we took their online courses and we adapted them a little bit to meet some of the tools in the curriculum that we utilize in St. Vrain. And teachers can take 6 online classes and earn their credential through the iLearn Collaborative, so that they can have that credential saying they have an expertise in blended. So both pathways can lead towards getting that credential, and I really feel like teachers love the idea of getting micro-credentials saying I have an expertise in this area without needing to necessarily get a full degree in that area. And so being able to have those two choices and pathways towards earning that credential has been really powerful. Impacts on blended learning. I think we've seen impacts with both students and with teachers. And students in the classroom, we have done interviews with them, and I've heard students say that they feel like having the opportunity to learn content at their own pace and path and time allows them to really be flexible and meet mastery of standards instead of being rushed through in content. We also see classrooms with more engagement. Students are inquiring about ideas and really digging deep and critically thinking about them, because they have that extra time in class to spend time in diving deep and getting to those core ideas that normally when you're kind of brushing through content, you don't get an opportunity to do. For teachers, I feel like they're reinvigorated. I've had many classroom teachers come up after their first year of the Blended Collaborative and say, this has been the most transformative part of my career. I had a teacher at Westview who said it was her, I think it was her 28th year in the classroom, and she was just so excited and reinvigorated and seeing that her students are really taking ownership of their learning, which is so powerful. And when students take ownership of their learning, all of a sudden it opens up the world for so much more, for inquiry and critical thinking and all of the things that we want in our classroom that blended learning gives us. An advice I would give to districts that are moving towards a blended model is to really create a facilitation team that's diversified. So on our facilitation team, we have members from our curriculum department, from our technology department, from our professional development department, and we have teachers that are still in the classroom facilitating our blended PD. And that really is key because you get buy-in from all of those departments, and also that we can support teachers in all aspects of that teaching and learning model, which is really, really important. We've had the opportunity to train more than 80% of our learning technology coaches and our instructional technology coordinators. They have been all in partnership in supporting the blended teachers throughout our district. So we actually have a 3-year action plan that we're on year just finished up our first year. And what we're really trying to create is that building capacity and creating that team of blended building leaders. So this year we piloted our blended building leader model and had 10 teachers that were at different schools that we had already done quite a bit of PD at. And they supported the teachers at their school. They did blended professional development at their school. They mentored teachers. We did video conferencing or video reflections. And next year we are expanding that to 20, hoping to have some teacher support out of every school that have blended teachers doing the professional development next year. So that's one way. We're also looking at expanding their professional learning network and finding those other teachers who are doing the same work. And part of that is in collaboration with the iLearn Collaborative, being able to connect with them through our teacher credentialing program allows us to connect with other teachers that also have that credential, and so that they can collaborate within teachers in our district, but really teachers throughout the state, which has been really amazing. And then we're just trying to continue to create resources, we're creating videos on each of the components of blended and kind of gathering resources to support teachers in implementing blended.